Hey shifters, welcome to episode 4 of the Shifter Show! Whoop, whoop. We are so excited to be here, but first, let me introduce you to
Vladimir Jean-Gilles. Thank you very much for having me. Guys, I'm always excited to be on set with you two lovely folks.
And as you know, I'm Lisa Martel, and here we have
Kevin Bourne, back for another episode, doing the thing I love to do with these fine people right here.
Aw, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Well, we're just going to dive right into it. We are talking Song of the Year 2017. Now, I'm just going to say it right now. Despacito. Despacito.
Despacito. I've heard that song too much.
You know what? That's another thing that I've never listened to, from beginning to end. I've never actually listened to Despacito from all the way
like
from the beginning.
Like the Bieber version.
No,
what?
I've heard pieces, but I haven't actually listened to the whole song.
Not even on the radio, Kevin?
Nah,
radio.
No, I wouldn't listen to the radio here and there when I'm in the car, but I've never actually heard the song beginning to end.
Well, this song, as you may know, has surpassed Thank you. It has surpassed it with 4 billion views on YouTube.
I was really shocked to see that because I was expecting like maybe 300 million views. Again, like I'm not a huge fan of the song myself, so when I saw the amount of views that were actually accounted for, I was like, well, hold on, I see, is that 4.4? Is that a B? Is the B, does it stand for billion?
Yeah.
So tell me that more than half the world's population has actually clicked on this video. Or I mean, I know it counts like for the people who revisited the video, but like this is like it's almost as many people as we have existing on Earth right now. This is crazy.
There's something about this song, like with Justin Bieber, and it's sung by Luis Fonsi and featuring Yankee Daddy, but
Daddy Yankee.
Yeah, and the fact that they incorporated Bieber into this song, I feel like there's just such a, I don't know, a liking to it. We all know Bieber because he's Canadian and he has some fans and some people aren't fans, but that's okay. This song, it's just so catchy. I don't know. There's something about it you want to listen to it over and over and over again.
Oh, means the opposite. Like I don't want to listen to that song too much because I found that it gets too like, oh my god. But I do realize that Bieber made that song even more popular.
Yes, I think it's because of him.
like the guys who made this song, they're trying to act like, oh, the song was big before Bieber got on it. No, please.
No.
Like, Bieber made the song.
So you're saying Bieber made this song?
Of course.
Okay,
I think the song probably would have been continued to be big in the Latin world, but
Densa Kuduro, I think it would have had like that kind of appeal.
Yeah, but to cross over to mainstream, like Bieber basically, I think made the song.
Because the video doesn't include Bieber, right? No, that's the thing. But people actually go back and listen to the song and click on that video so many times because they were introduced to it through Justin Bieber making that, that appearance on it. So
I was surprised how big the song was because I was a young guy in the heyday of like Macarena. Macarena was like I thought Macarena was like huge, and the fact that this kind of has replaced Macarena as like the biggest kind of Latin song ever is kind of shocking because I saw how big of a wave like Macarena made. So the fact that this song is even bigger, it's boggling my mind.
The funny thing about this is when Bieber recorded the track, you see him in his live performances. He can't even sing the words.
Yeah. The words right now, bonito.
You know the words better than he does.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of embarrassing. I mean you're kind of. I mean, I know he even says that he doesn't speak Spanish. He actually trained a lot to be able to sing that part
which is
of the
impressive.
song, which is impressive in and on itself. And even the Latin community does like the Latin community of artists don't really hold that against him. They're like, well, it's a very hard song to sing if you've never spoken Spanish before, which is his case, But I mean, we're talking about someone who dated Selena Gomez. I mean, bro, put some Spanish
dating Selena Gomez.
I mean, bro, put some hair on your chest, bro. Sing it, bro. Sing it.
Despacito.
This
guy is listening to that song on the down low.
Bro,
this guy's trying to fool people.
No, I don't think it's a bad song. I'm just saying that it's not one of those songs that I've listened to over and over again. Yeah. After a week of listening to it, I was over it. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I was surprised that it crossed 4.4 billion because I'm like, people are still listening to that? I was shocked, but I give that song the credits that it deserved. It's a good song. I got tired of it really quickly. That's just it.
Well, I'm not tired of it, but let's hear what your choice is.
Oh, me, man. The thing goes pa pa ka ka ka, skibidi pa pa, el cuckoo to boom, skila tu tu cuckoo tun tun, boom boom. You don't know. I think Men's Not Hot's the hottest song. Although Men's Not Hot, but I think Men's Not Hot is the hottest song of 2017. Because that song was supposed to simply be a meme, a little comedy snippet. It ended up being like something so grandiose. I mean, you hear it at every club. When you're lit and turned and you hear that song playing in the background and that part of 2 + 2 is 4, -1, that's sweet with math. Yeah, I understand. It's a dumb song. But at the end of the day, you're so happy for this guy because this is the perfect era for a song like that to come out. For a video like that to come out, and it's so like catchy, and this guy ends up being like super successful, and now he's actually living his dream. You know, he's hanging with DJ Khaled. He's on the BET Awards and whatnot. I'm just so happy. It's one of those people. It's like when Cardi B hit #1. Yeah. You're just cheering for that guy so much that you're like, yeah, that's a dumb song. Yeah, that's a dumb thing that you just put on loop forever and ever and ever and turn it into a song. But you know what? Yes, be successful because of it. You deserve it. Go for it. So me, it's not just the song itself. Yeah. It's the story behind the song and how it all came together. And I will listen when I have kids. I'm gonna sing that song as a lullaby. I don't care. You guys are oh man, you already know, man. Men's Not Hot.
I wonder if other artists like take him seriously, because I know they show him backstage. I think like at the BET Awards. I know DJ Khaled was like, "Yo, legend! This guy's a legend." I'm like, I wonder if people are kind of just laughing at his expense, or if they're actually like seriously.
No,
like,
I think they're actually impressed by what he managed to do, because at the end of the day, it takes a genius mood in order to actually turn something like that and be ahead of it. It's not like the Cash Me Outside girl who just fell into it and ended up like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna take as much from him as I can. He saw how hot this clip was and decided to be ahead of the curve and do something big out of it. You know, he made a video, he went on concert, and then here you go, now you got fans, and people are just gonna sing that song over and over again. I mean, even if you're a one-hit wonder, that's the only song you do, you don't need to do more songs. That in and on itself is a success story, I think.
It's funny because I've listened to other kind of songs that are like, you know, from the Caribbean and stuff, and it seems like other people are picking up that style, like his style. Like actually, I heard some dumb, since then I've heard some dumb songs. I actually feel like people are, because what he did worked. I feel like that other artists are kind of trying to replicate it and doing these very like dumb songs. And it's like, this doesn't work to replicate. But
no, it's it's not gonna happen for a very long time. That yes, you're gonna have dumb songs, especially in the hip hop community, because you know some things are just catchy or whatever. You're gonna have a lot of dumb songs. But the thing is that what this guy did, taking something that is just incredibly stupid and turning it into something that had to be taken seriously in terms of how the fans have responded to it. That's not going to happen in a very long time. You know what I mean? Either your song is dumb or your song is just not that good, or people are catchy, or people just find it catchy. This guy made something really funny that was just meant to be like, you know, part of his comedy show, and decided, you know what, I'm going to take this as far as I can. Because when you actually meet the guy, the guy behind Big Shaq, he's a very smart, well-spoken dude. You know what I mean? Like, this guy knows what he's doing. He's not an idiot. If you guys haven't seen any interviews with Big Shaq, the actual guy behind Big Shaq, go check it out. You're gonna be impressed.
Well, we know you're a fan.
Yeah, of course, man.
He's been singing it nonstop.
2 + 2 is 4. -1, that's 3 quick math. Everything men's on the block. Smoke trees. I see your girl at the park. That girl's a uckus. When the thing went quack, 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 you men went ducking.
Kevin, song of the year.
So my song of the year, it's not necessarily my favorite song, but I just feel it was a song that just did extremely well this year. Mask Off would be my song of the year. Because for me, like that, when it comes to hip hop, like that was the beat of the year for me. Like that was the beat. There was no, like, can you think of any other beat in hip hop that was more disgusting than Mask Off?
Rep the set, gotta rep the set. Chase a chick, never chase a bitch. Chase no bitch.
Like for me,
the
like
beat itself, like, I want to say humble, but I get what you mean.
The beat of like and even just like everywhere, anywhere that beat was on, or anywhere that song was on, it's just like seeing the way crowds responded to Mask Off. Now I'm gonna say it for me. I don't like the whole Percocet business. I think that's dumb. But I think overall, just the production and Future on that beat was just like musically that song's amazing. Like I think that has to be like one of the top 3 maybe hip hop songs of the year, just overall production wise. Future on the beat, Mask Off. Absolutely.
I agree with you, but in a hip hop, from a hip hop perspective, I would have said like it's definitely in the top 3. Personally, in the hip hop genre, I'd say that there's actually like if I had to pick a top 4, top 5, in those songs you would have Mask Off, Humble, Bodak Yellow, and
Rockstar.
Rockstar would be number 5 for me, and also Exo Tour Life. Lil Uzi Vert.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think those are like the 5.
Was Bad and Bougie 2017?
It is, but no, I think Bad and Bougie was it 2017? I want to say yes. I'll say yes for the sake of it.
Okay, so if Mask Off is 2017, then that's probably like even bigger than any of those songs. Like I mean, like that's bigger. I mean that would be bigger than Mask Off. That would be bigger than most of those songs.
No, definitely. But just because I'm not a big fan of Bad and Bougie, not to take away from anyone who enjoys that song, good for you. But I think if I had to pick a top 5, I think Mask Off would be in there.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would put it ahead of Humble or even Bodak Yellow. Because what Bodak Yellow did, Bodak Yellow had a run that was like amazing. Bodak Yellow, it didn't start at number 1 or number 2. It climbed its way up there. To the point that it got number 1. I haven't seen that happening in a very long time.
I think with Humble, Humble, I think overall is a better song, like lyrically and musically. But I think when it comes to the impact,
keep in mind that you also introduced, not to introduce but you also introduced Kendrick Lamar on the remix of Mask Off. And you're taking Kendrick Lamar like from his success on Humble and the whole album, the whole damn album. Not damn. Okay, you catch my meaning. The album is called Damn. Okay. But when you take his success from Humble, and now you put that guy on the remix with Mask Off, and you push that song and you give it that longevity that it needs to actually get even higher throughout the year. I mean, I thought that was a pretty interesting business move.
But I think Kendrick probably benefited from that as much as Migos, because I mean,
how much as Future, you mean?
So you said Kendrick was on the Mask Off?
Yeah, so he was on the Mask Off remix.
Yeah, sorry. So okay, I can see how they both kind of like they benefited from.
I think Future benefited more because
you think so?
I definitely.
Future. You don't think Future had a bigger year than Kendrick?
In terms of.
I have no idea.
You think he did?
I don't listen to hip hop.
I think Future. And I'm not the biggest Future fan, but I think Future had a bigger year than Kendrick. Is anyone talking about Kendrick? No one's talking about Kendrick right now. Like whereas Future was talked about from the beginning of the year.
I'm not denying. I just never really asked myself that question.
I think if when Kendrick going on, Mask Off,
I think sales wise, Kendrick sold more than Future.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think. Don't quote me on this. Actually, you know what? We'll update this because I'm just speculating based on things that I think I looked up. I do not remember, but I think if I'm not mistaken, I think he's like top 3 biggest sellers in the hip hop genre in 2017.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I think like even more so than Drake. But again, don't quote me on this. We'll look it up and we'll edit. We'll put a post to edit this based on what we discover. But that's something to look at.
Okay. Well, we have our choices.
Yeah.
Hopefully 2018 will bring about even bigger and better songs from bigger and better artists.
So what do we have next, Lisa?
All right. I think our next topic is Will Smith's son, Jaden Smith, succeed his successful father in more areas than one?
Who will be bigger?
Who will be bigger? As we know, Will Smith, he's an actor, singer. Everyone...
Is he a singer?
Yeah. Oh, he's a singer.
Will Smith?
Yeah, he's a rapper, right?
Well, yeah.
He's a rap.
That's rap.
No, it's rapping. It's different.
Oh, okay. Well, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, really well. He had his own show.
Oscar-nominated actor as well.
Yeah, Oscar-nominated.
Yeah.
Although, he hasn't made a great movie in a
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I actually want to see.
Hopefully, Aladdin will redeem him.
Yeah, he's playing
the genie.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now the question is, what about his son?
Will Jaden be a bigger? I think musically, Jaden has the potential to outdo Will. I think Will's, because anytime a rapper crosses over into music, their career is basically done. Like I think it happened with LL, happened with everybody. Basically, when they cross over, yeah. So I think Will Smith crossed over into acting pretty early, and so it basically almost cut short his musical career. You look at Jazzy Jeff, like DJ Jazzy Jeff has been going consistently in music since the beginning, because he never really made the serious crossover, whereas Will Smith did. I think Jaden Smith has the potential to outdo Will when it comes to music. Because I think Jaden is just a superstar. Like, he can dance, he can rap, I saw a Jaden Smith freestyle video on YouTube. I was like, yo, like he could freestyle, like he could rap.
Yes, you were the best. See me in the West, and you know I'm reppin'. Jokers see me when I'm stepping. You know that I've been rapping and I done it since 11. Jokers see me up in heaven, cause I'm so godly with the flow, and you know I'm going hardly.
So I think he has that potential, and he has the overall just demeanor of a superstar. Like seeing what he does with fashion, seeing what he does with music and all these different things. Like he can dance, he can sing, he can act, he can do all these different things. I think he could musically definitely outdo Will, and I enjoy Jaden Smith's acting. Like I enjoyed Karate Kid. And what's the other one?
The Karate Kid.
What's with him? The one with him and Will, the Earth one.
After Earth. That performance wasn't good.
Well, I mean, I know the movie didn't do good, but I personally liked Jaden. Then again, I'm not a film critic like you.
How old is Jaden now? How old is he?
He's in his 20s.
Is he 20?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was okay in the Get Down. He was good, a little out there, which is kind of in line with who he is.
Well, okay, let's talk about Jaden Smith in the Get Down. A lot of people are really critical of his performance in the Get Down, but when you look at what his character was really like out there. You know, his character was not the conventional type of thinker. You know what I mean? He was the soft spoken. I don't really know.
He was a weirdo.
But his character was a weirdo who wasn't really like fitting in with everybody. He was doing his own thing. Like he was thinking, he had his own thoughts and his own philosophy
which is probably in line with
which wasn't online with how he actually portrayed that character. I think you know what I mean. So that's why I don't really have a problem with how he portrayed the character in the Get Down. His performances after Earth, I don't even want to think about it. I think that was straight. I don't know what you were watching.
His best movie thus far. Will Smith's best movie.
Will Smith?
Will Smith's best movie?
Yeah, Will Smith's best movie.
He has a lot of movies. Jesus, I would say. Well, the one he got nominated for, Ali.
Ali, he was good. He was good in Ali. He was good in Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say. I think it's their best movies. Both of them.
Yeah, like Pursuit of Happiness. Like Will did an amazing job in that. Like he did an amazing job.
I think both Will and for both Will and Jaden, if you ask me what's their best movie, I would say it's the Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. But overall, I think Jaden and Willow are naturally more talented than their parents.
Really?
But they inherited from two very talented
like the way they
both
like
Willow's such a fashionista.
And they're starting like I know there's a lot of purists who like to think like, oh, the old stuff is always gonna be the best stuff, but they inherited from two very talented people who gave them the platform to be bigger than them. You know what I mean? True. Like why wouldn't they be bigger? They'll carry on the
legacy of their
exactly.
parents.
Why wouldn't they be bigger than their parents? They don't have to struggle the same way, but they're not. They also they're raised properly. I think. You know what I mean?
And I mean obviously they're a product of their times. Like Will Smith was what he was to the early '90s. Like he was just goofy. Like rap was a little bit. You know,
it was goofy.
It wasn't stupid. I mean, there was a serious side of rap and there was a goofy side of rap, and he represented the goofy side of rap. So he was a product of his times. Like his clothes were bright. He had this like little cap to the side. Like I think for his time, he was what he was. But then again, you also forget how funny Will Smith was, though. That's like true. When you look at like Bad Boys, and you look at like he was funny, and you see like clips of him off camera and the way he would dance and stuff. Like he was a funny guy. I think that's a big part of his talent. That I don't know if Jaden is necessarily a funny guy.
He's not funny.
Will Smith.
He tries to be, and the thing with Jaden, he can laugh at himself. I don't know if you saw that video of him like reading his own tweets. That made no sense. He had this thing where Jaden was trying to be very philosophical, and his tweets were just really like, "Yo, why would you go upstairs? Why do you call it upstairs but don't call it downstairs?" Some really weird shit. But he made that video where he just ended up laughing at himself on the street. But as a as a comedian, he hasn't proven it. The thing is that here's the one thing right now for me that makes me think that maybe as an artist, maybe as a rapper, Jaden will passes that probably. But as an overall artist, the thing is that for his time, Will Smith was also the biggest star of the 90s.
Yeah, I was gonna say people show up for his movies.
That's true.
They show up for his movies.
Will Smith was the box office draw.
Yeah.
You saw a movie because he was
because Will Smith was in it, you went to see it. And I don't know, do people still go to see them?
And that's it. And what I just want to say is that Will Smith was the biggest star.
Yeah.
He was a huge artist. Yeah. Everything he did, he was the biggest in for a period of time. But right now, there's not a single moment where Jaden gets to say that I'm the biggest in my field. Because you have Childish Gambino, who's actually... Donald Glover is the best artist of our generation right now. Donald Glover, Donald Glover acts, produces, writes, dances, sings. Just and he's a stand-up comedian. Donald Glover does everything he does well, and he ends up excelling to the point that he ends up being the biggest. If he decides to drop a soul album, it's the biggest soul album of the year. If he decides to write a cartoon, which he is producing the Deadpool cartoon, the Deadpool cartoon.
Oh, what?
He's producing the Deadpool series.
Wow.
If he decides to produce that, he ends up being the biggest series. Atlanta. He decides to write a show in Atlanta. He ends up being one of the most award-winning comedies in a long time. That's why I'm saying that. Right now, Jaden Smith, I don't see him ever being able to say I'm the biggest star, because you have someone who's already owning that.
Yeah.
Well, the point is, his parents gave him a platform to be able to have that ability.
So he'll have the opportunity to do it. I just don't know if he'll ever be able to say that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to raw talent, I think Jaden has it's disgusting. Like he has that raw talent.
I discovered him as an artist.
But he won't. Like you said, I don't think he will be as significant within those different industries as Will was.
Yeah.
Like I forget. Like there was a time where Will Smith just couldn't lose. Like he in the box office. Like there's one time where he just literally could not lose. Like it was just hit after hit after hit after hit. And I don't know if Jaden could do that.
All right, shifters, now it's time for my favorite round, the freestyle. Woo, 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 woo. All right, so I'm going to be introducing a subject, and Vlad and Kevin have no idea what topic this could be. And once I introduce it, we're going to discuss it and see what you have to say about it. How's that sound?
And then Lisa's going to bounce.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Lisa's got to go, but we promise you that the conversation's still going to be fire. So go ahead, Lisa, and drop your freestyle.
All right, so Time Magazine just released its Person of the Year, The Silence Breakers. Now I'm wondering, Kevin and Vlad, if you had the choice to choose Time Magazine's Person of the Year for 2017, who would be your pick?
So who would have been your Person of the Year?
My Person of the Year. Now I like their choice. I like the idea of the silence breakers. Like I think for me it would be a toss up between the Silence Breakers and Colin Kaepernick. Because I think those are the two big stories of the year, like culturally, were the sexual harassment in Hollywood and the NFL protests. Like those were like the huge big social issues that kind of crossed into culture and that kind of thing. So it would have been tossed up between Colin Kaepernick and the Silence Breakers. I think both of those candidates use their voice. Or use their kind of their voice in order to bring about some sort of social change, and almost even risking their careers. Like both Colin Kaepernick and some of these people who are vocal are in a sense kind of risking their careers or their space within their industry. Look at
Colin Kaepernick, his career is pretty
exactly.
Dead, right?
Like look at the sacrifice that the Colin Kaepernick made. Like he basically butchered his career in the name of social change. So for me that's huge. So it'd be hard to choose between Colin Kaepernick and some of these women that spoke out against sexual harassment. Yeah,
well, for me, I'm gonna take a complete different direction. Had it not been because I agree with you, Colin Kaepernick or the Silence Breakers, things for me had it not been for what was going on in Hollywood and the protests. If everything was going well right now, and we were just attributing the Person of the Year to the person who's done the most for their culture, their part of their industry, I would have given it to Bob Iger, CEO of Disney. Again, if we were not dealing with such serious issues in 2017, I would have given it to Bob Iger, because right now Disney is doing something where, a lot of people are saying that maybe it's not the best thing, but they're pretty much owning everything. Literally buying out everything. They own Pixar, they own Lucasfilm, they own Marvel, and now they're on their way to own 20th Century Fox. You know what I mean? Like most of their properties, including their studios and a lot of different things. So it's gonna get to a point where one day, whenever Disney's gonna drop any, like, because if you're buying out your competition, you get to actually set the prices for everything else. So from that point of view, it might not be the best thing, but the thing is that Bob Iger, CEO of Disney right now, he sets himself up to do all those things that people have been telling him it's impossible. We're never gonna get new Star Wars film. Makes it happen. We're never gonna get Fox to collaborate with Disney. Makes it happen. All those things that are impossible in the business world, Bob Iger is actually making it happen. I think right now Bob Iger is the smartest businessman in Hollywood, you know what I mean? And it's kind of interesting to see that the way Disney has been handling those properties has been very good, you know what I mean? You're looking at Star Wars, Marvel, and now soon the X-Men and all these different kind of stuff that Fox currently owns. I'm just really happy because Disney, in terms of content, I think Disney is a company that you can actually trust. You know, that's. But
but also, like, for me, I love the idea of competition, and part of me is like, there's also some concern with that.
Warner Brothers is still out there, and they're still Paramount and whatnot, Universal, so there's still going to be like a lot of competition out there. But I just think that it is a scary thing to see, but I just think that in the sense, from someone who's a fan of the business world, Bob Iger is setting himself up to do all those things that people are telling him it's impossible. Lucasfilm will never be bought out by anybody. Fox will never fall. Sony will never give Marvel's Spider-Man back to Marvel. You know what I mean? Like, he's making all those things happen. All those things that we said were never going to happen, he's making it happen. So at the end of the day, I gotta give him props for being the smartest businessman in Hollywood right now.
Okay, cool. All right.
So for the very last segment, that usually, again, Lisa's the one who introduces it, but we're going straight into What's Your Beef. So every week, one of us is going to introduce a topic or subject. It could be something that we disagree with one another, or something that we've seen on TV or read on the internet that we really have beef with. Now this week, our topic that we decided to beef on was marijuana. So as you guys know, we're currently in the process of legalizing marijuana in Canada. It's already legalized in certain part of the states. So now it's just a matter of understanding how it's gonna happen, what's gonna be the process like in order for the product to be distributed, and what the laws are gonna be like. So Kevin, you're on one side of the argument. I'm on the other side. So come on, Kevin. Let's settle this beef.
This is something I've been thinking out for a long time, and I know I'm sure people within hip hop circles will be like, oh, that's I might lose some credibility with like people in hip hop because of my stance. It's for me, I'm kind of torn because I have my own experience with weed back in the day, and for me it's like I didn't have a great experience. Like I had a great experience with it in the sense of like, obviously I enjoyed it, like I enjoyed being high, but at the same time though, for me, like I know, like for me, my time of smoking weed was when I was like maybe like 16 to like 18 years old, around there. And for me, I know around the end times of me smoking weed, like it got to the point where it was almost like affecting my my brain. Like for me, like that's how often I was smoking weed. And to the point where it's like I know there was times where I was like struggling to like get my thoughts out, or I would like I developed like an extreme stutter and all these different things. I started noticing like, okay, like it's getting harder for me to process my thoughts and that kind of thing. I also noticed it made me lazy. It made me, even people around me started to say, yo, Kevin, like you're starting to change. Like I remember my mom said that to me one day. She's like, what's wrong with you? Like you're changing. And that kind of broke me. I was like, oh my gosh, So for me, like I know that over my time of smoking weed, I saw changes in myself, like emotionally, mentally. I saw changes in myself, and so for me, it's like when I just think about it, I'm like what good is it serving? Like what's the point in legalizing it? And for me, it's like people will say, well, they make the distinction with alcohol, but for me, it's like alcohol for me is something where you can choose to practice moderation. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can sit on my balcony with a beer and be like, yeah, I'm having a beer, I'm having a drink. Or I can sit down with like some nice pasta and have a glass of wine. Or I can sit down with some friends and just have a drink and have it be a beverage, right? Like, with alcohol, you could choose for it to be a drug, or you could choose for it to just be a beverage. With marijuana, the purpose of it is to be under the influence. There's no moderation with, you know what I'm saying? There's no moderation with weed, because if you are not getting high when you smoke weed, like, there's a problem. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the whole point is to be so if I'm sitting around with my friends and stuff, like, there's no practice of moderation with it. It's just like either you're getting, like, either you're putting it to your lips to basically get, you know, to get messed up. Hold on. But I would say though that when it comes to medicinal use, I'm all for that. Like, I do feel like for when it comes to like medicinal use, I'm all for that. For me, I'm just like I'm worried about getting to a point where all of society has access to this, and I'm also worried about it as a father, right? Because I'm thinking, like, it scares me to think that my kids are going to be in a world where they could go to the convenience store and buy weed. Like, that concerns me. And yes, you know, at that point, you know, if they're 18 or 19, they're adults, they can make choice. But for me, it's like the fact that they can even make that choice concerns me as a father.
I think it's because, in a way, we're kind of embroiled with those ideas of, like, those negative. There's a lot of negative connotation with marijuana because it's still a drug, right? Mm-hmm. But from a point of view, because everything you've said, I'm comparing it to alcohol, because I don't think your main point was that when you smoke weed, you smoke to get high. You can't just do that in moderation. I don't think there's a problem with being high, like anything else. I think the main problem, and actually that leads back to the question I meant to ask you: how much did you smoke back in the day?
I think, you know, at first it was like here and there, but I think at the end it was like, you know, there was some weeks where it was like 4 or 5 days a week.
Well, here you go. I think everything that's done in moderation, because it's like alcohol. Alcohol can be drank to the point that, you know, it becomes an addiction. A lot of people, you know, they start drinking alcohol, they can't stop themselves. They end up doing it just for the feeling of it. They become aggressive and whatnot. And just like anything, marijuana requires a certain level of self control in order for you to actually be able to consume the product. That being said, though, I don't think there's anything wrong with being high. As a matter of fact, I think that, you know, it's provided a lot of people, and especially nowadays, you're looking at in the 21st century, a lot of people out there dealing with depression, anxiety, and all that kind of stuff. It really depends on what you're smoking for and what effect it's going to have on you. A lot of creative people are able to actually, you know, focus on their craft, or even work on their craft because they're able to actually smoke with. But not just that, but there's also more to it. It's also the fact that we're getting to a point where it's already tolerated to a level where people are out there smoking. People are out there showing up to concerts and doing all this kind of things, smoking live, because they're not as concerned about getting caught and all that kind of stuff, because they know the consequences are going to be minimal. So you might as well just register the people who actually, you know, the product, and have people actually smoking it in a very safe environment. You know, just like alcohol is drank in bars, you can't just walk outside and start drinking alcohol. I'm pretty sure there's going to be laws that are established where you can't just, you know, you can't just be 17.
But smoke, I mean, the thing is, like, smoke travels though, right? Because if it's like with my kids, like, there's times where I've been in the park and my kids have smelled it and like, oh, what's that smell? And I'm like, you know. And for me, it's like, if I choose with it, no,
because if you have problem with your kids smelling it,
give me an opportunity to explain my point.
Well, if you have problem with your kids smelling it, like, there's obviously
why can't I finish my point though?
Go ahead.
All I'm saying though is that if I choose to smoke, to consume alcohol, that becomes my choice. There's no secondhand consumption of that. You know what I'm saying? So if when it comes to things like, even like cigarette smoke, even when it comes to marijuana smoke, there's a secondhand aspect to that's not there with alcohol. So for me, I'm talking about me as a father. If I'm walking in the park and I smell that and my kids are smelling that, I have a problem with that. Because, you know what I'm saying, that goes out of the realm of your personal choice and now comes into my kids are smelling that.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. That's not that is something that I can't even debate against, because yeah, it would be a problem if my daughter was walking around and just smelling weed out of a sudden, and I had to have that conversation with something like that. It would be really awkward. But if you register it, you can actually start. It can work, especially with how weed is actually perceived by a lot of people. People are actually going to be very strict on it. If they catch you smoking weed in a public place where you're not supposed to smoke it, you think they're going to be as lenient as people smoking cigarettes?
Absolutely.
No, definitely
right
not.
Now though, like right now when it's not even legal, people are lenient with it. At the bus stop, we've gotten to a point where the government is pretty much saying like, okay, this is illegal, but we don't care if you do it. If you legalize this and tell people how you accept them to do it, that's totally different. Yeah, you're gonna have to, just the same way you have people drinking in public places when they're not supposed to. Yes, you're gonna have a lot of people still, operating in a way they're not supposed to. But what I'm saying is that now you can actually dictate how they're gonna do it, because now as the government has it's supposed to be illegal. The government knows people are smoking. The police knows people are smoking. I've seen people getting caught with weed on them and nothing happens. They just, they just tell them, okay, can you please smoke over there, and just like not create any distortion or anything like that. Right now, the government has no power to say this is how you're going to smoke weed, because right now they're not even supposed to know. Because right now we're getting to a point where it's very hypocritical, where you have someone, being prime minister who tells you himself, yeah, I used to get high back in the days. Like, how are you going to tell me that I cannot, how and where I'm going to smoke? But if you remove that hypocritical aspect to it, just finish. If you remove that hypocritical aspect to it, now you get to actually advertise and say, if we catch you smoking weed here, here's what's gonna happen to you, because we know you're doing it. Because now you have to pretend that there are still people out there who still believe that you smoke weed once and you die. You know what I mean? And now you get to actually have those conversations. I want people to have those conversations in school, because there's a lot of people, unfortunately, who got introduced to hardcore drugs because they were told that, marijuana, you smoke this once and you're going to die. They try it, they realize that nothing happens. They become addicted to a lot of different things. They introduce to a lot of things. I think it's important because we're heading to a society where certain things are going to become more lenient, instead of instead of like blocking their ears and trying to make kids pretend that certain things are not happening. I think it's important to have those conversations with them, because unfortunately, and that's the reality we live in, kids are being introduced to things even faster than we're actually comfortable with. You know what I mean? And I would want them to be in an environment where they're able to be like, okay, not at a young age, at the end of the day, it should be the parents' decision to know when your kids are introduced to certain things. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I just want to make sure that one day we get to a society where kids are able to actually operate in a way, or introduce to certain things in ways that I wasn't introduced to it. You know what I mean? Fortunately, my introduction to certain things were like involve, some questionable people who could lace your stuff. You know what I mean? And I think it's because no one had that conversation with me before. You know what I mean? And I think when legalization actually creates the potential to have those kind of conversations. It creates the potential, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. And
well, why not? At the same time, we don't know. We have to try it out to find out.
And I think for me, it's like you're creating a law around hypotheticals scares me, because you're saying, oh, this ideally, but that's the thing. Like, it's like we don't know, and that's what for me. What I would prefer that would happen is if we said, you know what, Colorado's legalized it. Let's see what happens in Colorado over the next 10 years, and then from there, let's craft a policy. Because for me, it's like, right now, there's not, like, within the North American context or even the Canadian context, there's been really not any research or even like the longevity to say, you know what, like, this happened in Colorado, so we can craft a policy around, like right now there's a lot of like, let's build a policy around hypotheticals. And then 10 years down the line, we could find out saying, yo, this was a mistake. Maybe if we had taken an extra 5 years and actually said, let's sit down and research, like that, let's actually like look at like some case studies and and craft a proper policy. Like even right now, the police chiefs across Canada are saying, we're not ready. They're saying, we are not ready to enforce this. The government saying, we're legalizing it. If the people that are supposed to enforce this are saying, we aren't ready, give us more time, like, there's a problem with that for me. Because it was like the people that are supposed to enforce this, they're not prepared. And they're saying, we are not going to be prepared for the new law. That, for me, that's a problem. So for me, it feels like, this thing is like, it's being rushed, it's being rammed down people's throat. Like for me, I'm okay with change as long as it feels well thought out And like for me, I used to work in Parliament, so I'm like a policy guy. I studied policy. So for me, I'm like, if a change is being done, let it be well thought out and let it be properly crafted, and like let's do some proper research. Like this whole thing feels like it's a massive societal change in a very short period of time. And for me, I feel like that's a lot when you're playing with such a massive change.
Well, at the same time, here's the thing. We're talking about it like it's gonna change so many different things. Like it's gonna break down infrastructures and change the way we operate as a society. But at the end of the day, the people who want to smoke are already smoking right now. That's my whole thing. Like the people who, and people are assuming that the people who smoke marijuana are like you're a low-key level drug dealer or you're thugs sitting on the side of the street. No, it's your business owners. It's your nurses. It got to a point where it's so casual where you can actually have that conversation with almost anybody, except maybe the people who still have that really negative who still see that negative connotation to it because it's still associated with drugs. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I feel like people who want to smoke right now are already smoking.
For me,
and we've already studied what effect it's had on them because they've been smoking for years. I'm not saying like, yeah, you want to study how it's gonna happen for the next 5 years, go ahead. But guess what? The majority of people who are going to smoke in 5 years are already smoking right now,
but
they've been smoking 5 years ago.
I'm not
so what are you even?
I'm not concerned with the old. I'm not concerned with the old people that are.
The people who are going to smoke eventually are going to smoke nevertheless, even whether it's legalized or not.
No, not necessarily. What research have you done? What research is that based on?
They've been making researches. They've been making researches about the effect of marijuana on this, the effect of marijuana on that. We can look them up right now.
But you're saying the people that will smoke weed are the people that are already doing it now. What is that based on? That's what for me I'm saying, this whole argument is like a whole bunch of hypothetical stuff. It's a whole bunch of hypothetical stuff based on absolutely nothing.
But from your opinion, you think that legalizing is gonna get everyone high at the same time?
All I'm saying is we don't know because that's what I'm saying. Let's let things play out in Colorado. Let's let things play out this place, and then let's come to a proper I'm saying I don't know.
We don't know. So why making the assumption that it's gonna be a disaster?
Because when if you're in government, these people are in government. These people are making decisions that affect society. I'm saying if you don't know, then do the research and get to know before you craft a policy that affects the whole country. This isn't Ontario. This is not Toronto. This is not Ottawa. You're making a national decision of something that you don't know. That's all I'm saying. For me, I feel like that's like careless decision, like careless national decision making when you just don't know. That's my thought. And for me, it's like I don't feel like the people that are smoking weed now are the people that'll be smoking weed in 5 years. For me, I'm looking at my kids, and there's potential that they could choose one day to smoke weed, even if marijuana wasn't legalized. I made that choice, but for me, I'm saying it makes that choice a lot easier for people that may not have made the choice. It could make the decision a lot easier for people that may not have made that choice.
Yeah, but my point being, if it makes it easier, I think it also makes it safer. It's just what it is. I think it makes it safer rather than being introduced to marijuana or to any kind of drugs by your low-key drug dealer on the side of the street who doesn't really care about your well-being. And again, even that we associate with this negative connotation to that. I think it makes it a lot safer. Imagine if you actually start crafting, because you're not gonna know until you try it. If you're trying things out, it's like with alcohol. When they legalized alcohol, a lot of different things went wrong until they ended up crafting laws saying like, okay, these are the type of businesses who can sell it. These are the type of businesses who can't sell it. But you're not gonna know until you actually challenge the society to changes. And I mean, you can live in a certain in this confined thinking that, you know what, if things don't go that specific way, everything's just gonna collapse. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it will. You know what I mean?
But I'm not saying it'll collapse. But all I'm saying is that we don't know the change, and it's a bunch of like.
But we won't know until we try, because at the
end of the day,
we're not Colorado.
But you do know.
We're not Colorado. That's the thing. You're saying let's compare it to Colorado. We're not Colorado. The way Colorado is going to react to something does not mean that they don't have the same Canadian values that we have. You know what I mean?
Well, what values? What values do we have? Like,
what values do we have?
What we're showing on this is that we do have the same values. If we're making the same, if we're like policy is an expression of value. So if we're making the same policy change, that must say that we're making the same. If you and I make the same decision, does that not say that we at least share the same values?
Not necessarily. It depends on the way you actually come to that decision. It depends on how you come to that decision. Whether you decide, whether one country decides to, Haiti decided to back in the days during the revolution, Haiti abolished slavery. There's no such thing as slavery in Haiti. America did the same thing, but for complete different reasons. And those two countries have complete different values. And that's just, at the end of the day, you know what? That's the ever-going debate that we have with marijuana. And again, like you said, like I said, we just don't know. I'm just more optimist because, again, I've seen that society has been, you know, if you're looking at, for example, the 70s, where it was even more common to smoke and to consume marijuana to a degree, and drugs to a degree where, you know, people came out of it more or less okay. A lot of them came out of that era pretty messed up. I just really want to see that, especially with what we know so far and the research that we've made so far, how exactly can we actually create a society where it's safer for people who are smoking right now to smoke eventually, to smoke in the future, or to introduce the people to it in a way
let's make it safe. It's like prostitution. Like, oh, right now, prostitutes aren't safe because, you know, like their job isn't safe. So let's legalize prostitution to make it safe. Or should we just say, listen, don't do it?
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
telling people not to do it is not going to work because you've already told people not to do it. At the same time, though,
it's like, yo, if you choose to make it, if you choose a particular action, you live with the consequences. Do we have to change things because you want to make a particular decision? If you want to, like, no one's saying you can't go smoke weed, but you live with the consequences of your action. Is it everybody's responsibility to say, well, it's not safe for these people, so let's just change things to make. No, okay, good, smoke weed, be a prostitute, but then don't expect everyone to say, well, let's make it safer for you. No, you make your choice, but you live with your own consequences.
But anyway, we'll have to leave it at that, guys. That was the beef. So what do you guys think? What's your point of view on all this? Do you think legalization is actually going to lead towards more of a disaster, or do you think we even need legalization, or do you think it's something that it's about time that we finally talk about it and that we actually make a bigger step towards it? Just let us know. And at the same time, make sure to subscribe and to like this video. I mean, we're looking forward to bring you more of this kind of content. And also, Kevin, if people want to continue having this conversation with you, where can they find you?
You can find me on all social media platforms at kevinrborn.com. No, sorry, at kevinrborn, and you can find me on shiftermagazine.com.
And I'm Just As Vlad. You can find me on every social media platform at Just As Vlad. That's Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all of it. And don't forget to also find Lisa Martel, who had to leave us early, at the Mona Lisa. Again, guys, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, peace.